Good morning, and welcome to another inspiring episode of Good Morning Minute, where we start the day with purpose, passion, and a little bit of power. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and today's conversation is part of a special series in partnership with Empower Her Steps virtual conference, a movement rooted in helping women rise, heal, and walk boldly into the life God designed for them. Our mission is simple but powerful, empowering life purpose. Because we believe that when a person finds clarity in their calling, everything changes for their family, their community, and the generations to come. So friends, grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready to be uplifted as we dive into real stories, honest lessons, and bold steps towards purpose with today's special guest, Heather. Hi, Heather. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Introduce
Angelina.
yourself.
Hi, Angelina. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. And every word of your description is me. So I'm super excited to be here and showcase exactly what you're talking about there. My name's Heather McNally. I'm a life coach, a speaker, and an author. And I am 52, well, at this 53 years old. And proud of it because that life has given me all the lessons and everything I need to know. I am with my husband of 30 years and we were together 5 years before that. So 35 years. I
Wow.
feel ancient, but fabulously ancient. His name is Dan. We are just best friends and have built a life that we love and we're proud of. And we have two sons, 23 and 19, who are both in college. And I've got three dogs and two cats. And I just am living my life and doing it with purpose.
Wow. And I love a woman who is proud of their age. I'm 49 years old and I own it. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not that person that's like, oh my gosh, you can't ask a woman her age. No, I'm proud to have lived 49 years old and be where I'm
Yep.
at. So I share it boldly and proudly. So I like to get started with just a little icebreaker question. So for you, Heather, what's your go-to drink in the morning?
Oh, in the morning it's just water, actually.
Okay.
It used to be mm, soda, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Now it's just water almost always.
Okay. Well, I'm a coffee drinker in the morning. I say coffee, but I probably have more cream than coffee in my drink. So I am one of those like the sweets in the morning, but I do limit myself to just one cup. So I try to bring balance in that aspect. Well, so let's get started and let's just jump right into it. What was a defining moment of pain or challenge in your life, and how did it impact you?
Oh, so very as quickly as I can, I grew up in an abusive environment at home. My father was very
Mm,
abusive physically, but even more damaging was the emotional and verbal and what he would say to me and what he caused me to believe about myself. And so that caused my limiting beliefs in life that drove me for the longest time. And I would say defining moments, one of them was when I was a senior in high school and I went to my mom, who I loved and adored, and she stayed with my father her whole life, unfortunately, in my
mm,
opinion. But
mm.
everyone has to live their own life. And I said to her, this was a particularly bad day. And I said, I can't take it anymore. I don't know what to do, but I can't take it. And her response devastated me because she said, you only have 1 year left. You're going off to college. I have the rest of my life. And
Wow.
wow, did that kill me,
Wow.
um, for her and from it showed me that I had a light at the end of the tunnel, although I couldn't quite grasp it.
Mm,
I sunk, and I realized that this is not normal. And then when I went to college, I met who became my husband, Dan, and he was a very strong personality in a good way, though. He was very grounded, very decisive in what he wanted in life, very confident.
mm,
And being friends with him showed me that I could just be who I was. And then I could start to figure out who I was.
mm.
And then, of course, sparks flew and we were attracted. And now here we are, 35 years later. But he really has always given me that stability and that um, ability to be myself, completely 100% myself,
Mhm.
ugly, beautiful, and everything in between. And he helped show me that I could walk into whoever I wanted to be. And
Mhm.
then the third real defining moment in my life was when I started to actually acknowledge that I had some kind of belief that I didn't even know I had. When I was about 25 years old, someone asked me if I wanted to go out to a concert with them and literally said, I can't. And all of a sudden I sat back and I was like, did I just say I can't? It was a concert I wanted to go to. I had the money to do it because I was working. I was an independent adult. There was no reason I couldn't go, but I said I can't. Wait, what? And it was like a brick in the face moment that made me kind of acknowledge that there was something. And then I would say going through my mom's terminal illness showed me a lot.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. And when your mom telling you you have a year, I've got the rest of my life, like, oh my gosh, if that doesn't ring so true in just my own history as a child, my parents were raised Catholic, so they believed that, you marry for life. And even though they went through a divorce process in
Mhm.
their life, they still lived together as man and wife um, through all of their toxic traits and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I can just imagine what that was like to well, I know for me, I wanted to escape
Yeah.
that reality faster, as fast as I could, and I took whatever whatever way I could to find out. Um, but for you to not have it as a pattern in your own relationships because you met your husband and this is a
Hmm.
healthy environment for you. What do you think? What do you think it was that made you like, you know what, when it comes to my relationships, I'm going to be more intentional about who I relationship with, as opposed to many of us that just kind of go with what's comfortable, familiar, whether we are conscious of it or unconscious of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the norm. Most people,
Hmm.
people have said to me, you're not the norm, having gone through that kind of abuse. And I mean, like I said, I did abuse myself with my self-talk and my, eating.
Yeah.
But I can say that there's something about me that I've realized that like once I'm aware of something, I can't get it out of my head.
Mm.
I call it kind of the bee in the bonnet moment. A friend of mine and I
Yeah.
used to joke and we'd be like, we'd see something we wanted to get into, a craft or a decorating or something, and it would be like, oh, look what I found. All right, bee in the bonnet. Like we have to get on it now. And that's just how I am with a lot, well, pretty much everything.
Oh.
Once I see something, I can't unsee it. And so I knew that I was unhappy. And when I said that to my mom and that was her response, I knew this isn't what I want for myself.
Mm.
So I didn't go out seeking my relationship with my husband. I actually first, I don't know what reason. Maybe it was because I didn't think I believed I deserved happiness and love. I
Mhm.
actually at, 17 years old when I started college thought I'd never get married. I'd never have love.
Mm.
Um, and probably part of it was the terrible experience I had of what quote love was.
Mhm.
But I, definitely was able to see differently when I met
Mhm.
my husband. Um, and yeah, um,
Wow.
it's that for me, it's that awareness. And it's true, you can't change without awareness. If you're not aware that something is wrong, that you're unhappy, that you're
Mm.
angry, that you're depressed, you can't do anything about it. And so it takes that recognition and a light going off, and then you making the decision that you just have to change it. And that's just
Mhm.
how my particular brain works. Once I know it, I need to do something about it. And sometimes that's, hard because I want it done now. And that's not
Mhm.
always possible.
Yeah.
I wish at, 20 years old, I was like, all right, well, I don't have any limiting beliefs anymore and I'm great. But it took me long, long time.
Mm. Mm. Well, and so when did you begin to sense that there was some purpose on the other side of your pain?
So for some reason, I've always known that I want my job in life was going to be to help people. That's how I felt most
Mm-hmm.
empowered, most strong. And I thought it was going to be working with children. My mom was an elementary school teacher. I thought that's what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, long story short, I ended up having to change my major in college and did something different. And I went into psychology and then worked for a number of years, had children, and we decided for me to be a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, seeing things happening in my life and other people's lives gave me that, oh, if only I had known. And the more I learned, the more, it's true that you grow through what you go through. So the
Mm-hmm.
more I saw and the more I learned, the more I wanted to be able to tell people. And so I started to realize that maybe my life's purpose is kind of teaching and sharing, but not in the way I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And with my kids were in school, I was able to volunteer and see other kids and, different things that they were going through in life. And I just I just always had this calling to help, to help.
Mm-hmm.
And as I went through the experience with my mom and living for years with her being ill and becoming her advocate and really standing with her 24/7 practically, especially at the end, and seeing
Mm-hmm.
her make choices, I learned so much more. And it was like, you know what? This calling that I've had in the back of my head to be a teacher, it's calling to take all these painful moments I've had
Wow.
and how I turned myself around and help other
Mm-hmm.
people do that.
Mm. Wow. Wow. That's so insightful. I mean, and so many of us struggle, I mean, to even get to a place where we can even put it all together.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it took a rock bottom moment before I decided, oh, you know what? I could probably use this to help for the better, right? And
Yep.
stop self-destructing. Um, what helped you heal and grow through your transformational season?
Definitely learning. Seeing the relationship between my parents and then seeing my mom, who was very fiercely independent, but at the
Mm-hmm.
age of 40, she became legally blind and couldn't drive anymore. So she became dependent on others for that. And then at the age of 55, she had had some breathing trouble. At the age of 55, it was getting bad enough that she felt she needed to retire. And at that point, she retired, started having more trouble with her breathing, got admitted to the hospital, was told she had a severe pneumonia, and then she left the hospital being told she had COPD, advanced COPD.
Mm.
And we're like, what? She did not smoke. She did not live
Wow.
with smokers. Nobody in her life smoked. She was a
Yeah.
school teacher, so she ended up having a lung transplant at 65 years old. And I was able to be there with her through all of it, advocate for her, with her, stand with her, hear her feelings, help decipher what we should do, worked with the medical team and the social worker and everybody. And in the end, ultimately, though I was named as her healthcare proxy, she was able to make her choice for herself in the end. And
Mm-hmm.
all of these experiences going through abuse, figuring out that I had these limiting beliefs, though I didn't even know what they were called at the time. I just knew, why am I
Yeah.
feeling that way? And working on it, going to therapy, getting my own coach, doing self-help through books and not even podcasts at that point. It was
Mm-hmm.
blogs and books and then eventually podcasts. And then becoming a coach myself, you have to do the work. You can't work with people if you don't know the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like somebody managing a department and they don't know what the job is that you do, but they tell you what to do. And you're walking around going, I don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing because they didn't understand to train you. So how can I be a coach and help people if I don't understand that and didn't do the work? So
Mm.
doing all of those things really led me to each step that I took led me to have a light bulb that said, you can do this with that. You can, and then all the pieces have been coming together to the point where, like I said, I feel like a huge success in life. I don't have a super well-known name. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm, never mind a billionaire, but I am successful because I've learned how to live happy and healthy. I have a family that I love. I have supportive friends, and I feel incredible. And nobody would look at me from the outside and necessarily say, "Oh, well, she has a house, she has cars, she has a family, she has animals, she has everything." And
Mm,
if they only knew that at very deep, dark moments of my life, even when I had children, I was, I had suicidal ideation. I didn't want to
mm,
live. I
yeah.
didn't care for myself enough to even want to live.
Mm,
And I'm grateful for who I have in my life that helped me in those very dark moments.
mm,
Um, but you never know what's out, in somebody's home and in somebody's head until you ask them or you are involved in their life. And, I want to help other people see that and stop judging. Um, I also want other people to stop comparing themselves to somebody. You
mm.
never know what it is. And if I can help or somebody else's words can help, great.
You bring up a good point. And when we sit here and go, people you talk about judging, and when we sit here and go, oh, well, it's easy for them because
Mhm.
they have the financial resources, or it's easy for them because this, that, and the other thing. In all honesty, um, you don't know what they went through or anything. And so here, when I coach and I tell my clients, like, you have everything you need, and they look at the external stuff, right? Immediately. No, I don't have the resources. I don't have the community. I don't have this. No, you have everything you need internally, meaning if
Mhm.
you believe in yourself
Yep.
and you make a decision to commit to your actions, then you have everything you need to turn it around, because that's where it starts, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
and so it's easy to fall into the excuses and not really turn around and do the inner work.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, do that inner work so that you can become who you vision yourself to be, the person um, that you need to see in the mirror, and change what's coming back and reflecting back at you. So for you, how has your story shaped who you are today?
Uh, I am who I am because of my story. And people will ask anybody, right? If you hadn't gone through that, would you go back in time and choose? And sure, I'd love to have a dad. I would love that. I
Mm,
never, Father's Day cards, birthday cards for him. It was so hard. I'd buy joke cards because I was not going to get one of those mushy I love you cards.
yeah.
And so I'd see other people with their father and be like, oh, I wish I had that.
Mm,
But who would I be if it was different? Now, in a perfect world, sure, we'd all have great parents and a wonderful upbringing, but the world would also probably be pretty boring. That sounds terrible, but it's almost like you can't understand the good until you've experienced something bad. And that
mm,
doesn't even mean something so deep as all capital trauma. It can be, just having a bad day even
yeah.
it brings out the beauty in the beautiful day. So everything that I went through molded me. I will say that I definitely am a strong minded person. The problem I have sometimes is trying not to hurt other people or have confrontation because
Mhm,
confrontation was always so bad in my house.
mm,
However, I also have learned that I need to stand up for myself, and so I do now. And if I think something's wrong, I will call it out. And, so everything has shaped me to this. The pain sometimes swallows people,
mm,
but, you know, uh, I feel that you should feel your emotions but you should also not live there.
mm,
If you don't like your if you don't like what you have in your life, you have to go back and look at the action that you took that gave you those results, right? But that comes from the feelings that you were feeling at the time. Why'd you act that way? And that comes from the
mhm,
thought that you have. So
mhm,
if you can learn to control those thoughts, you can learn to control your feelings, your actions, and then get the results that you're looking for. And so that's what I did essentially without knowing that that's what I was doing.
mhm,
With growing up with an abusive father to moving into my own adult life, seeing what my mother was going through and the experience there, learning so much from the pain of seeing her unhappy and sometimes struggling to breathe,
Uh,
struggling to walk across a room. It
yeah.
gave me when I would go to the gym and I'd be like huffing and puffing and swearing and sweating and wanting to quit and run out and cry, go, nope, because she can't do it. I'm doing it for her. Um,
Mhm.
those are the things that every pain point in my life has given me a lesson to learn, and so
Mhm.
I've taken the lessons and I look for the lessons
Mhm.
because what am I going to do? Sit and wallow in my misery and my sorrow? I did that for too long.
Mm. I love it. I call it don't take up real estate. Those
Yes.
don't buy a
Yes.
house there. No, no, no.
Yeah.
That's
And
only temporary.
don't let the people take real estate in in your brain either.
Yes,
Your brain
yes.
is yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yours. You
Yeah.
control it. Don't give your power away for sure.
Right.
Um, and so you talk about these lessons that you're learning as you're growing and healing and in this journey of
Mm,
transformation. Um, so let's say someone's out there that's listening and they're in that state of in between. What kind of
mhm.
advice would you give that person?
One of my biggest pieces of advice that people don't necessarily think of is your brain is not your friend. That sounds really odd, but I did take brain science course with somebody who amazing, who taught us that your brain is literally there to save you, to keep you alive.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this thing in our brain called the reticular activating system. You put something into your brain and it is looking in your subconscious while you're awake, while you're asleep, to verify what you put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the best example that everybody gives and that he gave too was if you get a new car, all of a sudden you see that car, maybe different colors and whatnot, different years, but you see it everywhere. Or a woman who becomes pregnant, and then, oh my God, there's pregnant women and babies everywhere. It didn't
Yeah.
happen overnight. Your brain started looking for it because you're in that situation. So
Mm-hmm.
for the years that I was telling myself, you're not worthy, you're a piece of garbage, uh, you hate yourself, nobody likes you, that's what I believed because that's what I was telling myself. And so what I did was I remember one of the big things that helped me was I heard, and it was actually Oprah years ago when she had her show. She
Uh-huh.
came on and she was talking about gratitude way before everybody else was talking about gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, go to bed every night and think about three things that you're grateful for and something you're looking forward to. So you start doing that, right? And it's like a habit. Every time I'd go to bed, I'd have to be like, oh yeah, I want to think about that. I'd have to remind myself. And it got to the point where within 30 days or so, I couldn't wait. It was like, oh, it's bedtime. All right, I'm going to go lay down and think about all this stuff. Not that I was like thinking, oh, I can't wait to go to bed to think about this. But when I'd get in bed, it was like, when you wake up and oh, I'm thirsty, you have a drink, it feels good. You get in
Mm-hmm.
bed and you're like, okay, and you start thinking about these things. And I was
Mm-hmm.
sleeping better. And then I was waking up in a better mood. And that's the
Yeah.
only thing I had changed at that time. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, our brain is so powerful and we just have to feed it. So
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to know that when you're feeling miserable or that fight or flight response or freeze, stop and think about it and look at something that brings you joy. Go talk to somebody about it. Do something to distract yourself, even for a moment, because you can quickly change yourself from that sympathetic state mode, the sympathetic nervous system, where you're in
Mm-hmm.
fight, flight, or freeze, to the parasympathetic, where you're in rest and relax very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It can be talking to somebody, dancing to music, getting up and going for a 5 minute walk. Um, deep breathing will
Mm.
literally change into the parasympathetic state. So use your brain to become more of your friend. Feed it with the right things.
Yes, 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 yes. I want to just clap, clap for that one. But yeah, it's so true, and that's why like visualizing your goals and feeding affirmations and those things they help in getting you towards that ideal person or whatever it
Yeah.
is you're trying to obtain because it is manipulating your own brain to
Yep. And
believe the
can I say
thing.
that the brain doesn't know the difference between real and not real?
Yes.
So, yes, people will say things like, "Oh, well, I don't believe that I'm a multimillionaire CEO." Okay, you don't need to say that. If you don't believe it and you're not gonna let yourself believe it, then say something simple like, "I'm a good person," or
Hmm.
"I have friends that love me," or whatever that is for you that you can believe in until you believe in it so strongly that you can believe in the next thing.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. So Heather, what does living with purpose look like for you now?
Oh, living with purpose for me now is supporting my husband in any way that I can because he's so supportive of me. And believe me, I'm not saying like we're perfect people, we're far from it.
Hmm.
But I truly feel that, we work because we connect and because we help each other. So purpose for me is making sure I'm there for him in the way that he's there for me. Purpose is making sure that my sons are capable of being the happy, healthy, contributing members of society that I have really wanted them to be, and just continuing to support them. And it's making sure that I am heard. Like when I was younger, even 10 years ago, I didn't believe that I could be on stage, writing a book, on podcasts as a guest. I used to think that was for the special people, the people that were, millionaires and billionaires and had this huge world influence. Well, everybody can have that influence. We're all here for a reason. So
Hmm.
what is your purpose? Turn your and your purpose doesn't have to be your calling in terms of your job. It could be
Yeah.
helping volunteer for a nonprofit. It could be volunteering in a hospital besides whatever else you do in your life, but find that purpose that's going to light you up because this
Mm,
is what I do that lights me up. And the fact that I'm doing it, this is success, this is purpose, this is pure joy for me.
wonderful. Yes, I agree. And you want to make sure that you are intentional about the things that you're doing, that it feeds into all of the things that light up your passion. You talk about lights you up because when we're doing things just to exist or just to do, um, that's where we start seeing the fatigue. That's when we start seeing the tiredness and almost like, why am I even here? Almost questioning those thoughts because you're not living intentionally and you're just kind of doing almost like autopilot. You're okay, you're just kind of doing like a
Yeah,
program, I've been programmed. I saw my dad do it, I'm gonna do it,
right.
whatever the case may be. So as we get closer to wrapping up our conversation, Heather, I want to ask you a question of legacy and impact.
Okay.
If today were your last day, what would you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that I owned who I was and that I showed other people that they can do it,
Mm,
including my sons, and helping them be the people that can make an impact on the world.
mm, beautiful. All right. Well, my final question to you, Heather, is if you could leave just one truth or maybe a word of encouragement with someone listening today who's still trying to figure out their life purpose, what would it be?
You absolutely can do it. And I 100,000% believe in you that you can do it. And that whether it be your own work, going to see a therapist, going to see a coach, talking to friends or family, open up to somebody and let them know how you're feeling. If you're hiding how you're feeling, because I did that for a long time. And
Hmm.
that itself eats at you. Never mind what you're feeling. The fact that you're holding it in eats at you. So
Hmm.
open up and know that you are absolutely capable. You can do it.
Mm, love it. Well, Heather, I have a listener out there that's saying, you know what? I want to know a little bit more about Heather. I want to get in
Mm.
contact with her. How can they do so?
So they can contact me through my website. It's very simple. It's heathermcnally.com. And on that website, I talk a little bit about how you can work with me. I do offer a free 1 hour consultation to sit down, talk, go through your story, and figure out how we could work together if you were interested in doing that. But I try to make as much impact and give as much value as I can in that 1 hour. as possible. I do have something that I call the limiting beliefs finder on my website. It's right at the top on the page. When you open up the page, scroll very little down and it's right there. And it's a free tool for you to be able to help yourself figure out where you're stuck in your life. And it's got some journaling prompts and a journaling page on it as well. I do have a free flowing journal that I self-published that is on Amazon. And if you just type in Heather McNally for
Mhm.
searching. It's called Soul Awakening, Journey for Your Inner Universe. And that it's 200 pages of free flowing journaling, but it does have journaling prompts there. It does have a few action suggestions, and it has some affirmations that you can take and use or modify. And just a great place to be able to journal your thoughts out, figure out how you're feeling, sometimes mentally and physically connecting your brain to writing it
Mhm.
down on paper makes a huge difference and it takes a load off of you. And I also have a book coming out, and it is actually it's out. And it is called, and I keep forgetting the name just because there's so many P's, and it's Rise, How to Find Your People, Power, and Purpose in Your Journey Towards Success. And it is a collaborative book with myself and six other women, very powerful stories that I think will help people. Everybody will connect with something in one of these stories.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Heather, for sharing your heart, your story, and your light with us today. Conversations like this remind us that purpose isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, growing through what we go through, and trusting that every step matters. Here at the Good Morning Minute and through Empower Her Steps movement, we believe every person has a calling worth discovering and a voice worth using. So, wherever you are today, friend, remember your purpose is powerful and you're not walking alone. Until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, keep walking boldly into the life God has designed for you. I'm Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.